What'd you
All
think?
right.
Did you look at the tutorial video?
I did. I didn't understand the last part of it. Was that in regards to another program for those who don't have Excel?
I don't know. I feel
Because I'm
like it
like,
was a sloppy video.
yes, it was definitely not as clear as it has been. And to be perfectly honest, I did the same thing I did last week. I started reading the next chapter. So for an hour, I was studying chapter 13 and not 12. So I had to do a really fast crash course on this. So, and I was relying on him to help me out. I think I understand what it is. It's just basically taking two samples and comparing and making the differences, the mean and it creates the differences is the means, the standard deviation, and uses that raw data to make it.
Well, we really just used the Excel spreadsheet to find
Mm-hmm.
all of that information, and it was that's why I'm saying I feel like this is the what, not the how. So I'm really interested to see the quiz that we're about to work on.
Well, let's go ahead.
So
Let's see what we can do to, if there's anything in this. There wasn't like a whole lot of new like math. It was just more like what you said is the what,
mhm.
how or whatever you said. Just be able to get it to work. So I guess we'll just start off with what what does it mean to have match pair data? I just said it has two scores that match, i.e., an example is a pre-test and a post-test for each given person, so that now you can look at the differences and find the variance of the two, and then you can create your means, your standard deviation, and the t-scores and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think, I mean, that's pretty much how I understand it. Like it's just a pair of numbers instead of one set of numbers, you know?
Yeah, I guess it's just to help. So if I had to do it in applications today, so um, I'm in nursery stock. So what was it like before we did this procedure versus this procedure? And then, but make sure that the data is big enough. Okay. What are the differences in the hypothesis test between one sample, which is the unknown, um, and the match pairs? Um, I just said if um, basically um, one is just a one sample. It's just taking one, and you'll be able to take it. And the mash is just two. I mean, I believe it. Um,
That's the
don't.
only way I know how to explain it.
It's just. I I guess it's layman's term. Yeah. Um, all right. Jumping on to question number 3, or in their case, part 2, question 1. Uh,
Mhm.
what is a research question? I put it in a nutshell. Does the new procedure change the mean?
Well, I just thought that it was the beginning of the research or whatever. What is the research question? The question is, why are we here, basically? Like, what are we
Yeah.
looking for?
Yeah. And so what they said is what they were going off with is implementing a new loading unloading procedure is the mean wait time different than the wait time before. So
Yeah.
it's just basically is this new data that this new procedure basically going to change anything that we have in place. Um, State the null and alternative hypothesis. In this situation, this was actually eye opener for me to help me understand what's the difference between what we've been doing versus this one. Is the null is mu difference,
Yeah.
not just mu equals 0 in this situation, and then the other one is the alternative is the difference again, the means difference over not or two-tailed
Yeah.
0.
That's what I got. And I don't know, like that doesn't apply to the other case, does it?
No, because the
Okay.
other one is just, it would be just mu equals what, and then the other one is mu doesn't, it's just mu, there's no difference, no little d, whatever it is.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
All right, 4, describe the data collection procedure. They, I just said they take time before a new procedure and the time after. That was,
Yeah.
okay. In a short paragraph, number 5, in a short paragraph, use summary statistics to describe the data after the paragraph. Insert an appropriate, well-labeled graph to illustrate the data. Okay, so I had a problem with this one. I couldn't get my histograms to look like the ones that they had.
How many bars did you use?
I used 9. How
This
many?
one only has 7. Right, 1, 2,
No, let me just
6.
Let me just bring my spreadsheets up. Nope, not that one.
Not there.
All right, hold on.
This one only has 6 bars.
All right, so
The last one has 8.
and what am I doing here? Is this the difference? Yeah, I mean, but still, my numbers didn't, because I had to use the quantitative descriptive statistics, and whatever.
Well, bar D is 0.1056, depending on difference taken. I don't know what that means.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
the deviation, I guess, is 2.596.
Yeah.
Where is this data coming from that we're using?
And that's where I'm
Factory assembly lines. It
Yeah,
says
I
in
mean,
part 2 at the bottom, use data link on iLearn, factory assembly times -sim.
I mean, so I did use that information. I did.
Well, I have to tell you, when I was doing my work, it didn't add up. Like, it didn't match.
All the other stuff I was able to do.
It didn't match what he had.
Well, I'll
and
show
then
you.
I learned that you had to switch the things.
Mm-hmm.
Like, one was post and one was pre, and so you had to switch them. And if you switch them, then the numbers match.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they turned into negatives.
Mm-hmm.
But that wasn't always the case when you posted data from a sheet.
Mm-hmm. So,
like, does that make sense? Like,
yeah. So were you able to?
In one instance, we had to post the last, and then we posted, like, okay, so on one review or whatever, one test with the scores or whatever, you posted the ending first, and then you posted the first number next. And then that gave the negatives because it's x2 and minus x1 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But when I was watching the tutorial, that wasn't always the case.
All right.
Because I don't know, because I couldn't see anything.
Yeah,
that he was working on.
So let me show you. Okay, how about I show you? Let me just go into screen share so you are able to. All right, you see this?
Yeah.
All right, so this is what he was talking about. So in going into 6, says what type of hypothesis test is appropriate? You do this, go into the quantitative inference procedures. You go into paired sample T. Okay.
Well, I did that.
Okay. So this is what he was talking about, and this is where you're able to. This is where you're able to get all your information from on chapters. So you're
but
good.
If you look over there at variable 1 and variable 2 and differences, when I first put in my numbers, they weren't negatives. For the first thing I did, it wasn't for that. It was when I was doing the preparing thing for lesson 12 or whatever. And then I learned it's 2 minus x1. But whenever I was working through all of that, that wasn't always the case. It wasn't always x2 minus x1 for your differences.
Because that's if you switch, you got to remember when you do these things, you can switch them around. It's comparatively to the things that inferring, yes, what you're trying to accomplish. So for instance, you know, your t-score can be negative 1.2, and so these confidence intervals will switch too. So you're gonna have a, if you so if I was to put variable 2 into variable 1, all these things will switch. We'll have a negative 1.22. This will be 3 point, and then negative.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what
I guess I just need to look out for that.
Yeah, I understand. That was confusing my behalf. It was just at that last moment, that they said if you switch them around, you'll get that. Because it says it on.
I might have missed that part.
on 6A.
Yeah.
I mean 6I. Sorry. It says you need to create, and then it's like, okay, you got to change things around. If you were to change when he was saying it at the very end before he went into that weird spreadsheet thing from on the internet, whatever, instead of he talked about as long as you don't switch them around, you're going to have this confident intervals. But if you switch it, it's going to switch it. Basically, this is going to be a negative, and this is going to be a positive. So it switches it completely around. Okay, does that?
Yeah, I'll just have to make sure I look out for that.
Yeah. So just make sure when you always think this is going to be your pre and this is going to be your post. This is your original and this is what it's going to be. You know.
Okay.
But I don't know why you would switch it around, but if you need to, there's your answer.
Well, in the lesson.
Whenever
I went in to do the, I can't remember what it's called, but it was the weight loss thing. I don't know if you looked at that one, but the variable 1 and variable 2 were switched.
So again,
so because when I first put them in, I did the variable 1 for the first line and the variable 2 for the next line, and all the numbers were the same except for they weren't negative. And on the thing, it was negative. So then I looked and it said that it's x2 minus x1. And I don't know if there was a D or an S or something there in front of it. I can't remember. But so I switched them around and then everything added up. But I don't know. Well, I don't want to get hung up on that because I feel like we'll be here all day.
All right. So so going to 6B, what are the requirements for this test? Again, a normal distribution and a random sample. And now this part I don't understand. So I took this information, you seen this? I took this difference and then I went ahead and put it in the descriptive.
I think that's what you're supposed to do.
And then I came up with this, oops, hold on. Hold on, I did something wrong. And we're supposed to
sort your numbers.
That's right. From, what is it? From smallest
to big. Yeah.
There we go. All right. That makes sense. All right, cool. I now understand. Thank you for letting me walk me through that.
That's fine.
All right, so that's how we got that Q plot. And then the D, again, just by inputting it right here, you got here's your t-score right there.
Yeah.
Here's your degree of freedom. Here is your p-value, and then the level of significance is greater than the 0.05, which is therefore you fail to reject the null.
Correct.
And then in H, present your conclusion in a form of an English statement. I just said we have insufficient evidence that the new procedure will be any better than before.
Correct.
And then you look at your confidence intervals, and this is what it comes out to 0.94 and 3.051. And then number 7, I just said in a short paragraph, describe the actions you feel should be taken on the base. I said maybe there needs to be a better way to get more of a significant change to have a better statistic change, because, and also they need more samples, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They need to figure out a way to reduce the time.
Right. And so with that information, though, given to them, it's not sufficient enough to allow them to make the new procedure, unless if they want to go back, they can go back and look and say, okay, we need more samples or we need a new procedure.
Right.
So, all right.
Well, getting more samples could be the new procedure.
Yeah.
So,
I guess this is why we're taking statistics. By this information, we were able to come up with a better way for evidence to be, what this evidence is giving to us. We can go ahead and, by this new evidence, we can now make a rational decision to continue or not to continue or change the procedure or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's good. I'm actually figuring out why we're doing all this. Yeah.
I actually used it in one of my other classes.
Oh, did you?
Today.
Oh, good.
Nice.
So. Nice.
Yes.
All right. We ready?
It's not a waste of time.
Good. Are we ready for a test? To take test?
Yep.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and
Let's
stop
do
the
it.
broadcast.